I'm going to call this meeting to order. Are they on? Hello? If you'll please rise. I have asked Supervisor Gould to do the invocation and Supervisor Watson to lead us in the pledge.
Please join me in prayer. Lord, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for this great nation and county that we live in, Lord. We ask that you watch over all of our people, Lord. Please watch over our county employees as they go through their day, Lord. Many of them have dangerous jobs, and they need your protection, Lord. Give us wisdom, Lord, here today as we govern our county. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I need a motion to call for an executive session. Is this on?
Is your light on?
Yeah. I'll just speak. Is there anyone in there? Is yours on?
No.
Mine's on.
I know, but can you speak into it? None of them are. Should I go on or just wait?
It looks like he's doing something.
Testing. Huh? What did he say? All right.
Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve waiving the reading in full of items presented for discussion, adoption, or approval at this meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Official business to come, oh, there we go. Official business to come before the board. Discussion of pending or contemplated litigation claims and demands. Mr. Esplin.
Nothing to report this morning.
Okay. Committee and/or legislative reports. We'll start with Supervisor Watson.
Thank you, Chairman Angus. Yes, the Mojave County West Water Basin User Study Committee will be meeting on Tuesday, August the 27th. This is the first kickoff meeting. It's at 2 p.m. at the House Hearing Room number 1. After that, then I'll have a pretty good report and synopsis of all our activities on water issues for about the last 2 years.
Very good. Thank you. Supervisor Gould.
None this morning, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Bishop.
Nothing this morning.
Supervisor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a meeting of the Lake Havasu MPO. We had an update from State Transportation Board member on the highway situation. They need around $330 million a year for preservation projects, which they have not been able to fund or meet in a number of years, and possibly going into the future they don't have it either. Possibly by 2025 they should be able to get around $350 million. And the problem is when you run short millions every year, you're not going to catch up. If the legislature doesn't act to get money to fix our highways, the safety of our people driving on these roads is in jeopardy, along with our ability to attract businesses. There's also talk of placing a toll road again in Mojave County, and I'll bring that back at a later time. We're also doing our distracted driver campaign, and we have videos out. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. That's it for reports. Do we have a county administrator's report?
I have no report today, Madam Chairman.
Break your streak. There are no meetings to approve, so we will go on to the call to public. Those wishing to address, I'm opening the call to public. Those wishing to address the board at the call to the public regarding matters not on the board agenda must fill out and submit to the clerk a call to the public request to speak form located in the back of the room prior to the meeting. Pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, a public body may make an open call to the public during a public meeting, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, to allow individuals to address the public bodies on issues within the jurisdiction of this public body. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the body, public body, us, may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the public body, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the public body shall not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. And with that, we'll bring Jennifer Esposito up.
Jennifer Esposito, 3211 East Snavely Avenue, Kingman. I'd like to address what I feel is a disgusting display of intolerance at the last meeting regarding Luana Gillette. These advisory boards are just that, unpaid, volunteer advisory positions who really wield no actual power and can only make the same advice to you that we make here at Call to the Public. And to be fair, oftentimes this board disregards the advice of planning and zoning altogether because the 5 of you are perfectly capable of making your own decisions. And so anyone who steps up to volunteer to weed through paperwork so that it frees up your time and you don't have to should be commended. I read her statements. I don't think that there is anything racist or offensive in saying that immigrants should assimilate. We should expect them to assimilate. I know her outside of social media and outside of this, just like I know some of the people who made those statements last time outside of social media in the real world. You know, if you chill the speech of people, you're taking us back to a time where this board was telling people what they could and couldn't wear in this building, and I don't think that's a place that we really want to go. The idea that you should be able to silence and remove anyone who offends you. We have a free speech right to be offensive. But the fact that you want to shut down the dialogue of someone outside of their position, their volunteer position, based on what you perceive they might do because that offends you is a very Marxist attitude to take. If Ms. Gillette had actually made a decision that could be criticized, that would be one thing. But her First Amendment right, outside of her position, to say things like, people of color can't be criticized because you're immediately called a racist, and then she was immediately called a racist, only back up the general thesis she was trying to put out, whether or not her words were perfectly chosen or not. But, you know, I would like to see this board stand up for the First Amendment and for her right to serve in a volunteer capacity. I wish people had been this outraged when Supervisor Bishop threw Crystal off of planning and zoning for the egregious offense of just running against her. But I'd like to conclude with a brief statement from the liberal ACLU regarding free speech. I could have gone to the First Amendment Center or some other conservative organization, but I'd be criticized for that. As ACLU Legal Director Stephen Shapiro told NPR in 2010, even truly offensive speech is protected by the First Amendment, and I quote, "The First Amendment really was..." Oops, sorry, it went off my phone. "The First Amendment really was designed to protect a debate at the fringes. You don't need the courts to protect speech that everybody agrees with, because that speech will be tolerated. You need a First Amendment to protect speech that people regard as intolerable or outrageous or offensive, because that is when the majority will wield its power to censor or suppress, and we have a First Amendment to prevent the government from doing that." Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Esposito. Diana Francis? Sorry.
All right. So Diana Francis, 4919 Thule Drive, Golden Shores, Arizona, not Topog. So I absolutely agree with everything she just said. I don't know the person, but free speech is free speech. If you're upset about the content, then we're going to burn books too, because there's content, right? So I just agree with everything she said, and I won't go any further with that. I also would like to address the fact that Golden Shores had 2 power outages in 1 week, and the second one lasted for 7 hours, and there was a cooling station set up at the Avi, which is great for people that can get out, but seniors, which we have a lot of in Golden Shores, are not able to drive out, and we were even unaware that it existed till after the fact. And if it be within your power to influence having a cooling station in the Golden Shores Community Center, fire station, something like that, and make it available and the knowledge available prior to power outages, it would be greatly appreciated, because we really need that. And the third thing I wanted to speak about is that we're having our meetings, and I understand they're going to be rotated among 3 areas, but we have 5 representatives. It'd be nice if every area could be representative, because Ron Gould is mine, which I appreciate very much, but how often do we get to meet in our area? So I'd just like you to take that under consideration as you go through that transition. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Jem Morgan?
Thank you, Chairwoman Angus and the board. For the record, my name is Jem Morgan. I am a Kingman resident, District 1 constituent. I'm here as the founding organizer of Indivisible Kingman, a nonpartisan grassroots organization dedicated to resisting the divisive agenda. There is nothing more divisive to a community than racism. The definition of racism is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. Commissioner Gillette said, "We have a country that is turning brown, which means that in no time at all, white people in this country will be in the minority." I have had it with all this. She used demographic facts to express prejudice and antagonism toward the browning of what is supposed to be, in her belief, a white America. This is racism at its worst. The definition of xenophobia is dislike of or prejudice against people from other countries. Commissioner Gillette said, "We have to fight for our country. We must stop the minorities from coming here and trying to change us. We had better wake up before we lose America for our children and grandchildren." This is textbook xenophobia. Commissioner Gillette told a news outlet that she misspoke. She meant to say, "We need to stop immigrants from coming here and trying to change us." This is still xenophobia. There is no place in our county government for racism and xenophobia, a belief surprisingly echoed by the Havasu News editorial, "Our view, casual racism has no place in county government." In media responses, Supervisor Gould has characterized Gillette's words as merely bad word choice and cautioned her to choose her words more carefully. This is condescending white privilege in motion and an unacceptable response by the supervisor who holds the power to unappoint Gillette from the commission. The remaining supervisors on this board have remained silent on Commissioner Gillette's racist and xenophobic Facebook rants, as well as Supervisor Gould's inappropriate response. This, too, is unacceptable. You have all been elected to represent every Mojave County resident as a nonpartisan board of supervisors, and you are failing to live up to this fiduciary responsibility. There is no place for racism and xenophobia in Mojave County government. Commissioner Gillette doesn't get to hide her racist rant behind the First Amendment as an appointed government official. This isn't going to simply blow over. Indivisible Kingman calls on this board to publicly denounce Commissioner Gillette's racist and xenophobic Facebook rants. Indivisible Kingman also calls on supervisors of Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 to publicly denounce Supervisor Gould's condescending, white privileged support of Commissioner Gillette's racist and xenophobic beliefs, to continue advising the Mojave County Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you.
Mark Shaver.
My name is Mark Shaver. I live at 4054 West Hiller Drive, Meadview, Arizona, 86444. I am a big supporter of free speech, and I am here to exercise that free speech because I found something disturbing that came on my news feed. You already know, I sent it here, I listened to both sides, and frankly, I think some of my Republican friends should probably take a course on identifying what is racism, the language that is used in racism. Last week at the P&Z meeting, Mr. Taylor mentioned that as a public servant of the people, meaning Gillette, she must be held to a higher standards. If you're going to be accepting this type of tolerance, you are setting the standards for this type of stuff to exist. And it's wrong, it's ugly, and it doesn't belong. Now, I know the four of you, other than Mr. Gould, has not made a public comment or statement regarding this. And I hope that there is some reporter out here or individual who, after this meeting, approaches each and every one of you and get a public statement on where you stand. Now, I know a lot of you are going to try to remain quiet because the election's coming up. No. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to do my best to get that statement from you. One way or another, the people need to know where you stand on this. Are you going to set the standard for tolerance at this level? Please, don't do this. Don't do that. You know what the right thing to do is. Thank you. Have a pleasant day.
Dulcie Warfield, founder president of Satanic Friends of Northern Arizona.
Good morning. I'd like to start by saying not only do I speak for myself today, but I represent 190 individuals who could not be here today. And I do have a digital signatures if you would like a copy. I'm truly saddened by the fact that I feel it necessary to be here again today. What's worse is now the issue with Ms. Gillette's publicly xenophobic views is being supported by Mr. Gould's homophobic comments to the local newspaper. This was also picked up by the Phoenix New Times and just about every newspaper around Arizona. Not only that, but many LGBT-friendly websites across the country have shared these articles as well, stating that gay men have a life expectancy of 42 because homosexuality is killing them young, without citing a legitimate fact source or any site source for that matter is completely unacceptable. This is both a major concern as well as an embarrassment. I'm here because there have been no real consequences for or even remorse shown by either of these two public officials. I hope after today something will be done to show this community and the nation that there is no place in Mojave County for these views to be publicly displayed by our own representatives. Thank you for your time.
Mark Niski.
Good morning. My name is Mark Niski of 735 Woodcrest Circle, Kingman. I stand here today representing Kingman Freethinkers, a secular society. The Freethinkers have approximately 160 members here in Kingman and Mojave County. We take this opportunity to again express our deep concern, dissatisfaction, and opposition to public statements made by Luana Gillette of the Planning and Zoning Commission. To the best of our knowledge, on or about July 29th, Ms. Gillette issued a series of Facebook posts that included the statement, "This is a Christian nation. I like it like that. It's what we've always been and what we're meant to be." We take great umbrage with this statement. I will not take any of our valuable time reviewing legislation, including the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, constitutional interpretations, or SCOTUS decisions of what our nation is or is not. But we are neither meant to be, nor are we, legislatively, a Christian nation. We are a multicultural, multiracial, multireligious, and for some, a non-religious nation. We are fundamentally a free nation. Statements like this demonstrate an inability to provide unbiased advice and consent, unbiased oversight and guidance, exercise unbiased legislative, executive, or quasi-judicial powers. Religious freedom, which is a core American value, requires that those who perform government service must serve everyone, regardless of religion or lack thereof. Ensuring that taxpayer-funded agencies abide by non-discrimination laws is not hostile to religion. Turning away people seeking to engage because they fail a religious test is, which is suggested by her statement. Ms. Gillette has the honor and responsibility of representing all members of her constituency here in Mojave County, not just her Christian constituency. We ask to see no less than a formal apology to the people of Mojave County and a commitment to exercise unbiased judgment. In the absence of that, we ask that the Mojave County Board of Supervisors censure or dismissal. Now, I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Taylor Blake.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to say that this has nothing to do with free speech. The reason I'm here talking is because of free speech. So I 100% support people's ability to speak freely and openly about how they feel. This issue isn't free speech. This issue is lack of choosing your words. This issue is lack of self-control. And members of the board, I stand before you today to highlight a point. Words inspire actions. If it weren't for the racist, xenophobic, and homophobic words of Gillette and Gould, I would not be standing here today, nor would I have been outside moments ago picketing. Words matter. It was words that inspired an individual not more than a few weeks ago to commit mass murder, an act of terrorism against innocent people of this country. Those same words that that individual used before and after are the exact same words Lawana Gillette used in her Facebook post. There was an opportunity at that time for all of you to publicly condemn what she said, and you chose not to. Ron Gould, in fact, said, and I quote, "I'm not concerned about Lawana shooting up a Walmart." Those words were incredibly insensitive and entirely unnecessary, and shame on you. But you didn't stop there, Mr. Gould. You instead seized the opportunity to grandstand and publicly politicize your own agenda. You took the opportunity to, rather than condemn her actions, single out yet another at-risk group, an at-risk community within Mojave County. You made baseless claims about members of the LGBT community, likening them to alcoholics, which is a disease. You later stated, without any evidence, that being gay causes people to die at age 42. I have scoured the internet for a study that confirms that, and there isn't one. To myself and other members of the community, that sounds more like a direct threat to our safety than factual research or legitimate concern. You can smile. To myself and other members, it's the time for platitudes have passed. The time for action is now. Remove Lawana Gillette from her position and condemn publicly her statements. She has proven herself incapable of performing her duties impartially and showing restraint where race is concerned. And as for you, Ron, we'll see you during the election. You're welcome for my time.
Tricia Christofferson. Tricia?
Greetings, board. 2 weeks ago, I was here and we asked for censure. You know censure, there's censure versus censor. Censor, the verb, is to examine officially and suppress unacceptable parts. Censure is to express severe disapproval of something, typically informal statement. See, that's what we were wanting from you, Mr. Gould, Supervisor Gould, sorry. I'm here again today, 2 weeks later, to express my disappointment in you personally, in the board. We've been, as everybody's expressed, inundated with press, and we haven't heard any statements in saying that this is not what our board stands for. Matter of fact, we've heard further statements dragging the message that I've worked hard to promote as far as diversity over the past year, pulling it backwards. I'm disappointed in the progress made in this issue. I'm disappointed also in the participation that I feel that we've seen from the county. Supervisor Gould, in that inflammatory press, the article that everybody's discussing today, something that kind of sat funny with me was where you talked about how they wanted to be tolerated and now they want to be accepted. And it made me think about something that I had read in the past, and I'm just going to paraphrase it. This is for you. When I'm disturbed, it's because I find someone, something, or some situation, some fact in in my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that someone, something, or situation as being precisely as it's supposed to be. I feel like some acceptance would be more of a gift to you than them, because they don't need it from you. See, folks, County Board of Supervisors, change is not coming. Change is here. And you all get to decide what part you want to play in it. We were out on the streets, holding signs, waving at people, and 98% of the people who responded positively. We had 1 or 2 people yell at us. 1 or 2. So let that gauge the pulse of the community and how they feel about your statement, sir. Thank you for your time. I'm just going to close with, we aren't giving up. We're not going anywhere. We'll be back.
And last, Mary McCord Robinson.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity again. Mary McCord Robinson, 2626 North Twin Hills Road, Kingman, Arizona. And I too was here 2 weeks ago and also at the P&Z meeting last week. But again, I want to anchor back to that during my 40-year career, I conducted thousands of personnel investigations. Most of the time when you first sat down and talked to someone about what they were being accused of, they were mortified, they were embarrassed, shocked, and they were clueless that their words or actions were being perceived as threatening, creating a hostile work environment, harassment, or even discriminatory. Most immediately made an apology, some were disciplined, but most were terminated. My point is, words and or actions affect everyone differently. And no one can say that how someone is made to feel is untrue. As a public official, you have a responsibility to ensure that through your words or actions, according to your code of ethics, that they shall avoid situations that create an appearance of impropriety or conflict of interest, or that would tend to undermine public trust. That's where I am today. I feel like your trust is being jeopardized. And through your own words, Supervisor Gould, you and Ms. Gillette have both violated those code of ethics. You have attempted to create a partisan issue. Never once did I mention my party affiliation. Not once did those 6 individuals that came before this board mention their party affiliation. My party affiliation has no bearing here. I am fiscally responsible. I have a concealed carry permit. I use plastic straws. My husband's grandparents were slaves. My father was chief of the Border Patrol in Yuma, and my uncle was convicted in Watergate. Trust and respect belong to all of us, regardless if there is an R or a D next to your name. And as my mother always said, actions speak louder than words. You've done nothing. Your recent comments regarding being gay, really? Can we not trust that you two are able to be unbiased? I think you both should be removed. Thank you, Supervisor Bishop, for being the only one that has shown impartial representation to all of the constituents in Mojave County by receiving many emails, responding, and then showing up at the P&Z meeting. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, there's nobody else signed up, but I will open it up if anybody wants to say anything. Sir, madam? Yes, I would. Okay. Sure. Just say your name and address for the record, please. Yes,
I would. Armin Stanger, 4321 South Cavalry Road in Fort Mojave. Everybody is talking about immigration and coming here and being labeled. I'm an immigrant. I came from Germany. And guess what? Ignorant people label me kraut. I I don't care. I came here legally. Why can't everybody else? I don't care if you come from Mars or from the moon. Come legal. Then we don't have problems. I'm a firm believer of immigration, but do it legal. Otherwise, stay home or go back home. Don't live on my pocket. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, before I close, well, I have to close it first before comments, right? I'm going to close the call to public, and there were some criticisms aimed at a few people on the board. We can respond if you'd like. Right? Yes, you can. Yes, you can, right? They can respond to
Each
criticism.
board members are permitted to respond to criticism if they wish. They don't have to. It's up to
Right,
you
it's
whether
up
you
to
wish
them.
to or not.
Okay. Okay. Then we will go on. I close the call to public. We have a presentation this morning, Public Works and Information Technology and Communications Accomplishments, providing substantial technology-driven improvements in county efficiency, asset production, and customer service through completion of a new road asset management system, fleet fueling system, and enhanced billing system for Golden Valley County Improvement District water sales. Mr. Lutowski.
Good morning, Chairman Angus, members of the board, County Manager Hendricks, Clerk Anderson, Deputy County Attorney Asplin. In our ongoing commitment toward delivering 21st century operations and services through proven and best practice technologies and applications, Public Works, in collaboration with Information Technology and Communications, is pleased to present 3 accomplishments providing substantial improvement in county efficiency, asset preservation, and customer service. Our accomplishments include completion of a new road asset management system, fleet fueling system, and enhanced billing system for Golden Valley Improvement District water sales. Our road asset management system replaces a 20-year-old aging system with a web-based asset management system that seamlessly aligns the county's state-of-the-art technology infrastructure and robust geographic information systems mapping solutions with Public Works road traffic sign and appurtenant asset characteristics and condition. This creates a comprehensive asset preservation and maintenance tracking solution and will further allow us to maintain accurate record of labor, equipment, materials, and funds invested into specific road and street asset preservation and repair work, as well as active and executed work orders for efficient prioritization, assignment, and most importantly, customer service. Now, our Kingman Central Fuel Farm realized complete replacement of its fuel management system, one providing best-in-class automation for tracking and reporting all fueling transactions 24/7, thus improving fuel expense management. Convenient electronic keys enable secure pump activation any time of the day and direct transfer of driver and vehicle information. This work improves fuel farm security and reliability, which proves critical to the sheriff and in times of planned events necessitating immediate and ongoing county resource response. And lastly, improvements to Golden Valley County Improvement District's customer billing system include creating an automated interface to upload bulk water sales through standpipe accounts direct to the district's billing software. Further enhancements include customer option, and I emphasize customer option, for electronic billing. This gives significant staff efficiency and enhances reliability in processing and billing customer activity. Now, I'd be remiss in not recognizing that on behalf of Public Works, I would like to thank the skilled and talented county staff who collectively and enthusiastically made these important advancements in department operations. Future forward, as I say. The team on these initiatives include from Information Technology and Communications, Steve Cromer, Steve Engel, Lori Kimbrough, Phil Litzinger, Nathan McDaniel, and Jeremy Wildenstein. And from Public Works, Linda Boatman, Bob Compton, J.C. Foss, Don Golson, Jim Hammersley, Les Henley, Rhea Howard, Randy Jansen, Tracy Knoyer, James Lambert, Kevin LaPointe, Monica Murphy, Kelly Stickrath, Greg Whaley, Tony Wisman, and Deborah Wilson. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present our important accomplishments. And any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda, items 5 through 38, will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion, minus any items pulled for discussion. Before I start, Public Health has asked for number 10 to be removed from the agenda this morning, so I've removed it. And with that, Supervisor Johnson?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Supervisor Bishop?
No, nothing.
Supervisor Gould?
None today, Madam Chairman.
Supervisor Watson?
None today.
Ah, 5 for 5. Okay, so I need a motion to approve consent agendas item 5 to 38 minus number 10.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, so 10 is out. And now we're going to go up to public hearings. I'm going to open the public hearing for agenda item number 39, brought by Ron Gould. Open the public hearing for discussion and possible action to approve the adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution number 2019-076, which is a denial of a rezone. And I do have somebody signed up, a couple of people signed up to speak. First one is Delmar Sanders. Delmar, are you here? Delman or Delmar? Delman. Okay. Vicky? Vicky? Okay. Are you going to speak for both of you?
I guess he figures if I don't cover everything, he'll talk.
Okay.
I don't know. Good morning. I don't know what more I can say on the subject since this will be our fourth time coming to present our case about building a accessory building on our property on Sunrise Drive and Nicholas. I do know that we've had the complaints against it. I do know that we approved to not put a manufactured home on it to satisfy some of the complaints. And lo and behold, I did go over there and I see a new building that is being built in the neighborhood. I'm just wondering if they paid their $750 to not put or get approval of a rezoning the same as we did, or if in fact they are putting no residences on the property, so they must be putting something inside the building. The other thing is I did bring some pictures. I don't know that they're really necessary. But anyway, the only other thing I have to say is on these complaints, are they actually these people within the 300 feet of our property? Has any of that just really been checked out? Are the same complainers complaining all the time? I don't know. We haven't seen anything. We saw 2 letters, actually 3 letters, and all 3 of those, I don't even give them any reason to believe why they should contest. But anyway, you all have a nice morning.
Thank you. Mr. Sanders, would you like to add?
My name is Delmar Sanders. I live in Fort Mojave. What it really boils down to me is it's not that we're not going to put the building there. We're going to put the building there. It's going to be, do we have to put 120 square foot of living quarters in this building to put the building up? We're going to put these living quarters in there, but we will never use. So that's what it boils down to here, is that you're going to decide whether we're going to have to put 120 square foot in this building. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else speak on this? Okay, I will close the public hearing. Any questions from the board? Anything?
No questions.
Okay, then I need a motion.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I move that the board deny the rezone of assessor parcel 229-09-041 from ROA to AR residential zone.
Okay. I need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. On to the regular agenda from our Human Resource Director, Ken Cunningham. Agenda item 40, discussion and possible action to approve changes to personnel policies and procedures, section 4.100E, Personnel Commission, legal representation. Anyone want to speak, ask questions of Mr. Cunningham? Do you want to say something? Then I need a motion. Anyone?
Motion to approve.
I need a second.
Second the motion.
Are we awake? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. 41, discussion and possible action. Approve changes to personnel policies and procedures, section 6.3, technology acceptable use policy.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 42, from Public Works Director Steve Latosky, discussion and possible action, approve the adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2019-081, accepting the road maintenance petition request, that's South Centennial Road from West Geronimo to West Navajo Drive, a distance of 0.5 miles, be accepted into Mojave County Tertiary Road Maintenance Program for tertiary maintenance in the Golden Valley area of Mojave County.
Chairman Angus, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
That's 3-2. Motion carries. Next, item 43, discussion and possible action, approve the adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2019-085, accepting North Skipper Boulevard, North Spear Boulevard, and North Senator Boulevard from West White Hills Road to West Indian Peak, a total length of 1.41 miles into the Mojave County Regular Maintenance Program as paved roadways in the White Hills area of Mojave County.
Chairman Angus, motion to approve.
And I'll second the motion.
Motion second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
4-1. Discussion and possible action. This is item 44. Approve the adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2019-089, accepting Eastview Road from Jagerson Avenue to Grace Neal Parkway, a length of 0.5 miles and located in the North Kingman area, into the Mojave County Regular Maintenance Program as a paved roadway.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
And I'll second that.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 45, discussion and possible action. Acknowledge receipt of and refer to Public Works for staff evaluation and recommendation for future board discussion and possible action, a tertiary road maintenance petition to the Mojave County Board of Supervisors requesting that West Diamond Creek Lane from Sandy Point Drive to Driftwood Drive, a length of 0.50 miles in the Meadview area, be accepted into the Mojave County road system for tertiary maintenance.
Chairman Angus, motion to approve.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
3-2. Item 46, discussion and possible action. Acknowledge receipt of and refer to Public Works for staff evaluation and recommendation for future board discussion and possible action, a regular road maintenance petition to the Mojave County Board of Supervisors requesting that Schroeder Way from Hualapai Mountain Road to the end of pavement, a distance of approximately 2,076 feet, located in the South Kingman area, be accepted into the Mojave County road system for regular maintenance subject to meeting all applicable requirements and subsequent board approval.
Chairman Angus?
Yes.
I'd like to recuse myself from this vote.
You got it.
Chairman Angus, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Okay. I need a second. Well, I'll second it. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
It's 2-2. Motion fails. Item 47, discussion and possible action, direct staff to either procure a contract for repair of interior water damage to the 1,916 square foot building at 2301 Harrison Street in Kingman on the Mojave County Fairgrounds site for continued occupancy by the Arizona Department of Veterans Services for its delivery of services, or procure a contract for building demolition and removal.
Madam Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
I'd like to express a little bit of my opinion about this building and its current situation. If we were to procure the contract for the repair of the interior of the water damage, we'd be repairing an old building. And it's just not a good building. It's in a very difficult location for even the VA people to use. We currently have the ability to demolish it and remove it, and thereby enhance the fairgrounds by that removal, and will increase the number of square footage and entrances to that area. So I'd like to make a motion to for the action of procuring a contract for the demolition and removal of the building.
Can we do that? Change it like that?
It's not changed. It was the way that it was written was so that the supervisors would choose between the two, either procure for repair or procure for demolition.
Okay.
I'll second. Is there a, sorry, Supervisor Bishop,
That's okay.
is there, where's the money coming from? We're going to direct where money comes from?
I have to ask our financial.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Oops. Madam Chairman, I'd also like, I need to state for the board's consideration that I've been in contact with the veterans. They're incredibly grateful for the time that they've been allowed to spend in that building, but they're not opposing this action if the board so chooses to demolish the building.
Good, that was my question, so thank you for answering that.
Okay. Mr. Latowski?
I believe Ms. Lloyd is available for answering the question by Supervisor Johnson.
Good morning, board members and Chairman Angus. Supervisor Johnson, there's a couple of ways that we could probably fund this. One is obviously contingency. The other way is through our capital projects fund, we ended up rolling over about $200,000 into the current budget. So we could use a portion of that. So that would be up to the discretion of the board.
And Madam Chairman, if I was going to make a recommendation to the board, I would say to do it out of our capital projects fund, because either we're going to be paying a similar amount to repair the building as we would to demolish the building. Truth be known, there's a few dollars more that it costs to repair than it does to demolish, in accordance with our bids that we've received. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
My question would be the legal. Mr. Esplin, would we be required to add the money being spent from the capital improvement project?
It's up to you whether you wish to do that or not.
Okay, I'll amend my motion then to add that the money be withdrawn from the capital improvement project.
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 48, discussion and possible action, eliminate position number 930, Engineering Manager, Road Operations and Maintenance at range 26 for purpose of obtaining qualified applicants and successfully recruiting a road maintenance supervisor professional. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Anyone have any questions? Want Mr. Latowski to come up here? Or do I have a motion?
I'd like to hear it explained in simpler terms.
Good morning, Chairman Angus, members of the board. Public Works has seen the engineering manager for road maintenance and operations open and vacated for the last 14 months. We have simply been unsuccessful in recruiting an experienced and, most importantly, qualified candidate to fill said position. And as a result of the 14 months that have gone by, and despite the fact that we've had a very well and capable individual on special detail, Bob Compton, our road maintenance supervisor, it is time that I duly consider and place before you for consideration eliminating this position and instead opening the road superintendent position, which had been the division's lead over the course of many decades. This particular action considers opening the road superintendent position, but designating it a range 24 and including it under the 2017 Hot Jobs Initiative, which elevated the ranges by 3 ranges of all of the road division positions. By considering and acting on this and establishing the road superintendent at range 24, it eliminates any potential compression issues that would realize. The road superintendent position simply wasn't included back in 2017 under the Roads Hot Jobs Initiative because it didn't exist at the time. So with that, I duly request the board's consideration of approving this allocation of the road superintendent position, opening it up for range 24. It would be a cost savings considering that we would be eliminating a range 26 position. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Satisfied?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for the approval.
Motion, I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Latowski. Number 49, from Development Services, discussion and possible action, approve the waiving of application and permit fees for any future, I have it cut off, improvements to the Mojave Valley Fort Mojave Community Park requiring permits.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Supervisor Gould hasn't been with us that long. I'd like to go over the kind of a timeline so he gets the idea. Back in the 90s, Supervisor Zaborski got a BLM lease on land east of Mojave Valley Junior High for the purpose of a park. And the project was put on hold until spring of 2007 when Supervisor Stockwell, along with community members, were able to secure water allocations from the MVIDD for the park. In late 2007, the Park Committee formed to gather petitions to form a park maintenance district to cover the cost of maintaining the park, estimated at the time to be around $100,000 a year. Hoover family donated $5,000 to start petition processes and mail off petitions to landowners outside the district. In late 2007, Mojave County estimated the building of a park to cost about $3.5 million. Park Committee started looking for donations, fundraisers to raise the funds to build it. And then in November of 2008, they came along with a second project. Chip Sherrill officially offers Mojave County a 50-year lease on current park location near River Valley High School off Laguna Road for $1 a year for a total of $1,900 for 50 years, and the board accepts that lease. 2009, the Park Committee officially became a nonprofit, according to the records. June of 2010, Park Committee starts circulating petitions in the new park area for a park maintenance district. Fairway Construction starts grading process for the park. Starts selling $2,500 a piece to businesses, organizations, individuals who wish to buy a ramada for the park. And then in April of 2012, Cheryl ventures into a lease agreement with Fort Mojave Community Park Committee to lease the property as a community park for a period of 50 years. May of 12, then Supervisor Moss brought in about the donations of $250,000 from anonymous person. And then they were going to get matching funds from nonprofit and also from government. In January 13, Bullhead Legacy Foundation agrees to give $250,000 as part of the match. In February of 13, Supervisor Moss brought forward to the Board of Supervisors to approve a long-term lease of the Community Park Committee for the operation of a proposed park with River Union High School agreeing to maintain the park. In addition, he brought forward the $250 funding proposal of the county from Parks Fund to go towards the park improvements, and then which passed the board. Then in May, the board went back and ratified the forgiving of the fees for the septic systems that was put out there. And we argued over that for a few months. And then in June of 13, the park got rezoned for a neighborhood park. In 15, then we brought forward again for the IGA with the Union Park School for operation and maintenance of the park for 25 years. And April of 15, also, Park Committee signs a lease giving them 1 year to date to complete the improvements for the county to take over. And then in October 16, we accept a donation of a 1994 Cavco mobile home to be used in Mojave Valley for Mojave Community Park as needed. We waived the personal property taxes on that. 2017, we brought back the agreement as it has expired, and we had no agreement in place, and the agreement was to have it done and given to us in a year. The board then went into an open-ended agreement with the Park Committee, so there's no date for completion of the park or when we have to take it over. March 18th, during Easter egg hunt, it was found the eggs dropped from the crop duster at the park. It may have been contaminated with herbicides. March of 8, well, I'm going to go into the AG things. April of 18, went out to the park, as my staff did, took pictures of the trailer that we had taken. It was obviously a hazard. The county, I guess, contacted the park people. Nothing was done. The county since then has gone out and fenced it in. A building permit was obtained. The county has been paying for that fencing, I believe, out of flood control money since that time. That permit is set to expire in 3 weeks. Nothing has been done on that, and since then another trailer has mysteriously showed up out there with no paperwork or anything else with the county on it. And then we had August of 2019, and then today they're in front of us for waiving all the fees. I just have a problem because there's also a garage that was built out there that fees were waived on. I'm not sure who gave permission for those fees to be waived. It was done out there, but I believe nothing if you go through the whole history. Have they followed through with anything, whether it's going to be the commitment to get the park done? I mean, they've done things. They have soccer fields and ball fields and those things, but this is over a 20-year period, and I'm thinking that people that might have started it or might be losing interest by now or moving on down the road. But that's all I had to say, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any questions for Supervisor Johnson?
I don't have a question for Supervisor Johnson. I have a question for staff, though. So this would waive the permit fees for all future projects in perpetuity?
Madam Chairman, what I understand from the park committee is that there's about $1.5 million worth of improvements that the park committee is looking for, that they believe they've got obligation funds to construct. So they actually came in and asked if the county was going to continue to waive the fees for the improvements of the park, since we're going to be a partner with the park if the board so chooses at some future date. So in the past, I believe it was 2013, our attorney opined that I actually had the authority, Bill Ekstrom opined that I had the actual authority to waive fees. The makeup of the board at that time was considerably different than it is now. So I believe that instead of continuing on that path, and because of the change in makeup of the board, I wanted to get the feel for whether the board would allow this, and I would bow to the board's authority on whether you all wanted to waive fees. Now, the logic regarding waiving the fees of these improvements is these improvements are being donated at no cost to the county, and those improvements are a concession stand and a ramada and some other things. And as was stated in front of the board by, I believe it was Mehdi Arzami, is that because of the law, it says if the county was making these improvements, if those improvements exceeded, I believe it's $250,000, we would have to bid them out for parks. And so it benefits the county and the people and everybody if the county isn't in the chain of ownership of the park at this time, and that all the work's being done under the LLC because they're not under the conditions that the county would be under in procurement, and they could take the donations and do a lot of the work free of charge. And like I stated earlier, that work is supposedly going to equal about $1.5 million. So what I want to do, since we've had a change in makeup of the board, is to bring that request to waive the fees for those improvements in front of the board so you all can make a business decision on whether you wanted to allow that to occur. And I hope I...
Thank you.
I don't have a problem waiving a fee on a particular project, but I don't know that I want to give them a fee waiver in perpetuity.
And Madam Chairman, Supervisor Gould, that perpetuity would probably be shorter than a two-year span, because the LLC is wanting to have agreements in place and place in front of the board so that the board would have the lease on that park from Chip Sherrill, and that hopefully the maintenance, I'm anticipating that the agreement would include that the maintenance and operation of the park would be a partnership with the school district. And that all would be brought back in front of the board. So perpetuity would mean until these major improvements are complete.
Yeah, I would still rather see the project and then have us decide whether we want to waive the fees on that particular project.
Supervisor Gould, this is in your district. Do you feel comfortable voting on this today, or do you want to do some more?
I would just like to limit it that if they're going to do something there, that that gets brought to the board, and then we decide whether we want to waive the fee on that or not, rather than just a blanket waiver of fee.
And Madam Chairman, Supervisor Gould, if that's what you would prefer, we could certainly get back. You know, it's a business decision that's being made by the board. If that's the choice of the board, we'll relay that to the LLC and say that the major projects, the individual projects, the board would prefer to see those come before them to make a decision on whether to waive those fees. That would be fine.
That would be how I would prefer it.
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Sure.
The trailer that's out there now, isn't that permit in Mojave County's name?
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, that trailer is owned by Mojave County. The Board of Supervisors accepted ownership of that trailer previously at a Board of Supervisors meeting. So I believe the Mojave County Board of Supervisors and the Mojave County are the only ones that can be signature on that application. It has to be the owner, if I'm not mistaken. That's okay.
Okay, then who's supposed to be doing all the repairs that need to be done?
If I recall, Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, we had a commitment from the LLC to provide those improvements to the trailer, and we could get an update. I asked Tim to look into that. Tim Walsh, our Development Services Director, to look into the status. And if Madam Chairman would like, I could have Tim come up here and give a status report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, County Manager Hendricks is correct. The permit was pulled. It is still an open permit. At this time, we have yet to receive a request for an inspection. We have gone out and inspected the property. It has been secured, but no inspection has been called for in order to place that trailer or basically confirm the work that's been done there.
Madam Chair, so Mr. Walsh, you're basically the applicant on this trailer, and we expended county funds to fence this trailer in, which is ongoing because it's leased fencing. Is that correct?
I believe Public Works would be the one to ask on that. I believe Public Works had some fencing that they used to secure it, but I believe that has since gone and a substitute fence has gone in, but I would need to confirm that with the Public Works Director.
And this permit was pulled, and there's 3 weeks left on it to be done?
I believe there's basically a month left. It expires in September, I believe.
And nothing's been done since the time it was pulled, so you as the director have a permit out, and while we hound the poor people to death, your permit hasn't had any action taken on it since you pulled it. That was just a cheap shot, Mr. Walsh. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Any other questions?
I do have a question of Mr. Walsh. The mobile home that mysteriously appeared that Supervisor Johnson alluded to, what's...
Maybe I can, Madam Chairman, maybe I can answer that. That mobile home is on property that doesn't belong to Mojave County, and it's a trailer that doesn't belong to Mojave County, so, and it's not installed, it's being stored, and I don't believe it's in any violation of any open lot storage at this time. Is that correct?
And to be honest, we were just made aware of that trailer last week, so we haven't actually investigated whether it's in violation or not, but we can definitely look into that.
And I would be one of those that was just made aware of that trailer, but basically I view that trailer as not belonging to us on not being our trailer on a piece of property that does not currently belong to us or that is not currently under our ownership or control.
But it's on the park lease land.
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, we don't have a lease. We're not included in any lease with that park. It's on property that could, if the board so chose at some future date, be under lease by Mojave County with Chip Sherrill.
And I understand that, but that's what's bothering me. We're so intertwined with this, but there's really no direction by the board or who's in charge of anything. So we have a trailer that's given to us that we're pulling permits on that somebody else is supposed to be doing, but they're not doing. Now more trailers are showing. And this is a trailer that's just like the one we took in, needs a ton of work, that's falling apart. And they've just dumped another trailer. I'm not sure what year it was built. I have photos of it somewhere if you want to see it, but it looks just like the other one that was out there. That was all I had. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Supervisor Gould, it's your district.
I have one last question. The second mobile home, if this passes, then we're waiving the permit fees on a mobile home that's there without a permit? Is that what I'm understanding?
Chairman Angus, Supervisor Bishop, we would need to work on my wording here.
Director Walsh, that trailer is just sitting out there. It's not hooked up to any electric. Is that correct? It's not hooked up to any water. It's being, I would have to assume it's being stored. It's just been placed out there. Is that correct?
To the best of my knowledge, that's what I'm aware of, yes. So it's just on the property as far as
I don't know if there's any intended use. I haven't had any indication that there was an intended use or intent to do anything but temporarily place that trailer on that facility. But if it did need to be installed, in looking at the pictures that Supervisor Johnson provided, it's in horrible shape. The electric, I don't know if it almost looked unpermittable.
What are they doing with it? Is it just for storage?
There's nothing in it, except, well, I take that back. Mr. Walsh, is there anything in that trailer?
I don't know. We will go out to inspect that one. The trailer that we have accepted, my understanding is that there's sprinkler controls and the lighting controls is what I've been told. But as far as this new trailer, I'm not aware of what's being stored in it, if anything.
And I would suggest between Public Works and Development Services and our Facilities Department, if it's necessary to complete whatever improvements are there on our trailer that's located on that facility, we should get it done before your permit expires.
And our understanding and I agree, and we'll move forward with that. Our understanding at the time was that the park committee would be working towards those improvements. Basically, we applied as the applicant, but that the park committee would be completing those improvements. So we haven't pursued it, but yeah, we'll follow up with the park committee and work with facilities with that.
I have a question. Was the park committee notified of this agenda item today?
The park committee made the request.
And there's nobody here?
I notified Mr. Arzami made the request. I tried contacting him last week. I was made aware after the fact that he's, I believe, out of the country this week.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, my only concern is we've got a mobile home now, a second mobile home. If we take over the park in the future, which we possibly could, then we have to abate a couple mobile homes to get them off the park. And I don't know, it just seems like they're multiplying.
Well, I'd like to know what they're there for. I mean, I don't think I doubt they're just dumping, mobile homes there, so I'd like to know the purpose of it.
Yeah. Well, if we're going to take over a park, we want it to be a nice park.
Right, no, I know what you're saying. I just want to know what the purpose is. What do you think?
Yeah, I would recommend that we take no action on this and have it, if they have a project that they would like the permit fee waived, bring the project forward and the board make a decision on whether we choose to waive the fee on that.
Okay, that's your wish?
Yes.
Take no action? I don't have to take a vote on that, right?
We don't need to take a vote. If the board takes no action, then the
we take
item...
no action.
Nothing
Okay.
happens with the item.
Let's move on. Thank you. We're on agenda item 50 from Financial Services. Discussion and possible action. Adopt the FY 2019-2020 tax levies and rates for the Mojave County tax authorities and acknowledge the tax levies for special districts, school districts, fire districts, and cities and towns in accordance with ARS 42-17151 and 42-17254. And as always, I'm voting under protest on this one. Anyone want to say anything, or I need a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
A motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
I don't even think we're allowed to vote no. Isn't that true? We're not allowed to vote no.
You can vote no if you wish. What I've explained previously, that this is a ministerial act, and our recommendation is that the board pass the motion. We recommended to pass the motion, but
Okay,
I'm not going to tell anybody how they should or should not vote.
Okay, I'm going to vote, because we go through this every year. I'm going to vote yes, but this year I'm going to go to the state, and I'm going to ask them to change that statute, because is it true, Ginny, that each district submits a report quarterly? Is that it, quarterly or biannually?
Chairman Angus, no, they actually submit a special district report once a year.
Once a year.
Okay.
All right, and you accept it. We don't vote to accept it. You accept it.
That's correct. They come to me, and then I send a report
Right,
to
and
the
so
state.
if we don't even accept their reports, why should we have to accept their tax rate? So I think that it's something that should be looked at, and I'm going to really go for it this year. It seems like a small thing, but it's our vote. And I don't see why we have to vote on something that we have nothing to do with. So,
I have
anyway.
a question, Madam Chair.
Sure.
Mr. Esplin, I don't know if you know the answer or not, but we've gone over this in the past. Let's say this vote went the opposite way and it was denied. Does the county assume responsibility then for the running of all these districts because we've denied their levy?
I don't think we would assume the responsibility, but we would be in a position where the districts could sue us for not doing our duty. It is a duty of the board to accept their rates and to move forward. That's what the law says. And if you do not follow what the law says, they can file a mandamus action against the board saying that the board has not fulfilled its duty. And if the board has not fulfilled its duty, they would sue us. And if they succeed, we would be ordered to follow the law.
Thank you. That's the part that bothers me. I don't want to be funding the school districts and the fire districts.
Yeah, no. And I've been reminded of that ad nauseum from some of those special districts when I talk about it. But I think it is just a language thing in the statute, and maybe we can change that. So that passed 4-1. On to agenda item 52. From our county manager. Discussion and possible action, authorize staff to move forward with soliciting interest for a design-build process for a new animal shelter, and requires part of the response the evaluation of the two sites determined most feasible for construction, 1 Mojave County Warehouse Armory, and 2 Mojave County Library site. We do have somebody signed up, 2 people, I believe, signed up. No, 1 person. Jennifer Esposito.
Thank you. Jennifer Esposito, address previously stated. When this original proposal was approved, the discussion was to allocate $2 million for either a new shelter to be built or the existing shelter facility to be renovated. And as I look at this proposal, there are two sites being considered. I think that the board should choose a site before moving forward with having someone consider a design for that site. I think you should know which site it is you're going for. It seems that the idea of renovating the existing shelter is no longer part of this process. I do want to commend the county for taking control of the shelter and taking this responsibility on, because, you know, if the county is going to set the rules by which animals are incarcerated, held for ransom, and killed, then it should be the county ultimately who answers for how that's implemented and where it goes. But one thing I do know about local government is that the fastest way to eat up money is in things like engineering and architecture and whatnot. So, you know, I think it would be prudent for the county board to make a final decision on whether or not it's going to be a repair or a rebuild, and exactly what site it's going to be on before moving forward in asking people to, you know, start submitting bids or proposals or requests to, you know, be the person that does eventually submit the plans. So I'm glad that you guys are taking the reins on this, and I personally feel that rather than building a bigger, larger, better shelter, the county should also simultaneously focus on the ordinances that incarcerate the dogs and maybe find some ways to, you know, take in fewer dogs and cats at county expense rather than more in a bigger facility at taxpayer expense. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anyone else? Okay.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
On, if I can, on this particular item, regarding the remodel of the existing facility that was eliminated for several reasons. What I did was I tried to pull together a group of what I consider people that had some expertise in this type of an activity that were involved in the original Kasnack study, and because I think they did wonderful work. There were some people that dropped out, so I tried to augment the group evenly with other individuals from various areas in the county. And we also sent out an invitation to all elected officials and interested parties to, if they had a piece of land that they wanted us to look at, to please bring that forward so that we could include it in the review. After visiting the sites that were identified and through further discussion, there were two sites that were identified as workable sites. And one site was south of our warehouse annex, and the other site was on the north end of the Burbank property, north of the library. And what we also were charged with by the board is to come up with a delivery method, a contract delivery method, a recommendation on how to approach this project. And my recommendation to the board is that given we have a guaranteed maximum, we cannot exceed $2 million, we would go through a design build process. I believe that would be the best delivery method. What has been placed in front of you is the two sites that were recommended that were deemed feasible or acceptable by not only my staff but by the committee. It was unanimous that these two sites that are placed before you were the recommended sites. The board has a choice. In a design build process, what can occur is the design build team, in proposing on the project, can actually propose and give an indication of what they can build for the amount of money that's available. I believe personally that the site south of the annex may be too small for either the current proposal or a future expansion, but I don't know that. I'm not an expert on animal control facilities. That's why I wanted to recommend to the board that both sites be included, and we ask in our proposal, in our design build proposal, to have the firms, the teams, propose on both sites and give renderings of what they would be able to provide on each site and explore some limitations. Now, that doesn't have to occur. The board could decide not to do anything. The board could decide to choose a different site than the two that have been recommended. The board could also choose one of the two sites proposed. It would make our solicitation simpler if you did, if you had a favorite among the two, or the board could go with staff recommendation as stated. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hendricks?
Madam Chairman, if I may, I'd like to address this item if I could. Starting with the location that is over here by the Armory. A little bit of history of our building efforts here on this location. It cost us over $750,000 just to tie into the sewer project on this building and the jail project. So I think probably, in all probability, we would be looking at a tremendous infrastructure cost if we were to pick the location that's behind the Armory.
I agree.
Secondly, and for the better part of this conversation, the location that's on Burbank, near the library site, is almost an exact center of the community. It's right across from the Centennial Park. If we were to build the animal control facility, there would be a great deal of retail possibility of people, and retail, what I'm saying is the adoptability of animals, a greater exposure for the possibility to come and for people to adopt if we chose that location. So with that, what I would like to do this morning is to propose that we pick the site as the Burbank site near the library as a part of my motion.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor.
And I agree completely, and I will second that.
Okay. I need a motion to discuss. I'd like to ask a question.
I made the motion to.
I know, but we can still discuss it, even though the motion's made.
Certainly discuss.
Yeah. I just have a question. You said that it's centrally located to the community. You're just talking about Kingman? Or is that sort of centrally located for the whole county? Because this is a county shelter.
Actually, both. If you were to draw an X through the corners of Mojave County, it wouldn't be off very far by maybe 20 miles.
How far is it from the highway?
2 blocks.
Oh, okay.
So we're at the corner of Burbank and Beverly, I believe, is the closest.
I think in the backup material, it showed the
Right.
distances from all the different.
Right.
I want for the
So
public.
the exit from I-40 is just 2 blocks.
Right. Okay. But, sort of apropos to nothing, Kingman's, we still haven't talked to Kingman about their participation in our shelter going forward in the future.
And Madam Chairman, I've spoken to the city manager of Kingman regarding that there are going to be some substantial increase in fees to accommodate, the costs that Mojave County is burdening for that operation. Interestingly enough, I believe you've had conversations where we may have a Bullhead City interested in participating and bringing their animals to us. I've also had some interest from the Lake Havasu manager that at some future date, Havasu may be interested also in bringing their animals to us. When we looked at where animals are coming from currently, our 18-19 data shows that 51% of all animals taken in by animal control came from District 1, and that 64% came from a combination of District 1 and 4. So obviously that would change some if Bullhead City would participate and Havasu would participate. You know, it would spread it out. But currently, that's where our workload is.
But that didn't answer my original question about Kingman. So you said that you've been talks, but there's been no formal agreement with it.
Right now, we're trying to get our arms wrapped around how much it actually costs to operate a shelter and how much we get in donations. I've asked finance to put together, or to begin putting together figures for what we would need to charge at least the city of Kingman for bringing in their animals directly to us. And the way our agreement is currently structured with the city of Kingman, whatever fees we decide to charge is what they have to pay if they're going to utilize our facility.
And are we going to change those soon? I mean, now, before we rebuild the shelter?
I believe to get a shelter constructed, you know, we're looking at a year.
Right.
And you should see an agreement with the city of Kingman, a proposal for the city of Kingman and a cost for the city of Kingman much sooner than that.
The cost for the new shelter. I'm talking about the existing shelter this year.
I'm talking about the existing shelter also. And I think if I was going to recommend to the board, I would view those two items as mutually exclusive, because I think you know, the key to a shelter and to how we handle our animals is trying to get them adopted out or addressed as quickly as possible, because the longer you keep the animals, the bigger the shelter would need to be. And we're doing very well at being able to handle, you know, at least what we're receiving now, barring any hoarding cases.
Well, the reason I ask is if you're going to put the shelter smack dab in the middle of Kingman, it would be nice to know if they're going to participate.
I don't know if we've got an agenda to really discuss that.
Well, no one's stopping me, so.
We can discuss this, because this is related to whether your decision you're making here today. You're trying to decide which design you should go with, and so yeah, we can discuss that. Now, to make any motion for that, no, it is not agendized for that. We're talking about the immediate motion of whether to move forward with soliciting interest for a design build process for one of these two. But this is relevant. This is germane to the question of, do you want to vote for this or not? I mean, that's how you got to know this information so you can make that decision. So I'm fine talking about it, but in terms of making a motion, I would not.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Chairman, just trying to address your question. Currently, Havasu has a solution to their animals, and that's WHS. Bullhead City is taking care of their animals. I don't believe, unless Kingman spent a ton of resources, we're their only option, and we currently charge them. It's not like the county's providing them the service for free. However, with that said, you asked me the question some time ago, are we charging enough? And my answer was, I don't believe so. I believe that Kingman's been getting a good deal for a long, long time. Right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, that's all I got.
Madam Chair, if I may. Did the county do a projection on what this land values were, these two pieces of land?
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, we did a appraisal on the land when the board was contemplating placing a lake on the property, and I believe that land was in the neighborhood of, and don't hold me, this is north of $2.5 million. We would be looking at utilizing a maximum of 5 acres of that property. You're still currently looking at placing a pond on that property. This proposal would not impact that pond or that lake. It may even complement that use. So yes, there is going to be a cost of using that land if we wanted to sell it. This property out here south of, I guess $600,000 would be the cost. Maybe $800,000 would be what that 5 acres is going to cost the county if we wanted to sell that 5 acres. this property south of the annex, that whole annex, if you included that property, you could consider that to be of some great value because it's right by the interchange. Now, personally, I don't see the county selling that property at any time soon and giving that space that we own, that government space, to anybody else. So it would be, that value for that property would be dependent on what the board's ultimate goal for that property would be. I think the goal for the property currently, if I was going to make a recommendation to you, is for government purposes. So to me, that would have less of a cost for placing the animal shelter and the loss of revenue from selling the property. However, like Supervisor Watson mentioned, to develop that property, it's not large. A lot of fill would need to be brought in. Utilities, the sewer is down in this area somewhere. If you recall, when we constructed both buildings, the ground had to be ripped, so the construction cost would be considerable, and a lot of money would be ate up with site preparation and infrastructure.
Wouldn't it, that was the old armory, it's not hooked to the sewer now?
I don't believe, I had facility, Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, I had facilities examine that and tell me where we would need to hook on to the sewer, and their opinion was we couldn't hook on to this end of the building. We would have to hook on to somewhere near the midpoint or the south end to get a main large enough to supply that facility. That's what I was told.
I guess it's worth looking into, but I would think the size and diameter of the armory would handle an animal control facility. There's not that much waste being pushed through it, you know. It's not like an apartment house. And I understand what Supervisor Watson is saying. I think that land is more valuable over there. I think this would be a good location. While Manager Hendricks, you know, thinks that possibly we could sell that piece of land, you know, or it's an option. I don't see us selling that land at all. I think putting the animals there would be close to the county buildings. The same thing that Supervisor Watson's saying, it's a good location for retail. I think everybody that comes to the county building would see it. I just don't like the other location because I think it's more valuable land for us to sell. And I just think at some point, hopefully, we will sell that land. But I like the idea of going ahead with one forward, whether I win or lose, even if Supervisor Watson's wrong.
Thank you, Supervisor Johnson.
I just want to reiterate that this will not affect the pond, the community pond that's proposed. I'm doing that for our friends at Arizona Game and Fish who are in the audience, who might be shaken right now.
I think it would, Madam Chairman, I think it would be a great place to exercise the dogs.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second, right? Did we have a motion and a second?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a vote. Let's do a roll call.
Supervisor Watson?
Yes.
Supervisor Johnson?
No.
Supervisor Bishop?
Yes.
Supervisor Gould?
No.
Chairman Angus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item 52, acknowledge receipt of staff research and findings regarding the unauthorized after-hour use of the Mojave County Fairgrounds. And I do have someone signed up. Mr. Tim Wood, come on down.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim Woods, General Manager of the Mojave County Fairgrounds. First and foremost, I would like to apologize to all the county supervisors. The last person to speak on this put out some personal feelings that had no place with the questions. I did apologize to Supervisor Johnson in person, but I wanted to do this publicly. The second thing, mainly I want to come down if there was any questions. Quick recap, the young man who pulled his antics was fired. He is off property. He is going to be trespassed off the property. Him and his partner in his antics are going to be trespassed off the property. And mainly I'm down here to answer any questions y'all might have.
Okay, any questions? Nothing? Thank you, Mr. Wood.
I do have a question. in regards to any damage that was caused?
None. I mean, even on the asphalt where they did the little donuts things, there wasn't even when a tire came off the wheel, it didn't even cut into the asphalt. We took the our board of directors back there. Brian from risk management came out there and looked as well. We didn't see any damage. There was no damage anywhere on the property. Nothing was.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, no action taken.
Well, Madam Chairman, at your meeting on the 5th, the board directed staff to investigate and bring back findings and recommendations. So I did do we engaged our deputy county attorney who opined on the lease violations and criminal charges. Our risk management provided input on the potential violations as well as the safety and security perspectives. He also, like what Mr. Woods said, went out and inspected for any damages at the facility. And Mr. Woods also shared employment and incident timelines along with what steps have been taken by the Fair Association, including current employment status, that the employee was terminated on July 20th. Staff recommendation for the board to consider is to direct risk and emergency management to meet with the Fair Association to ensure work-safe safety rules and training are in place and enforced. And secondly, further direct administration to formally communicate with the Fair Association, and I'm going to change this recommendation slightly, that any future infractions of the terms of the lease agreement may be subject to termination of the agreement. There was language that said it will be. That takes away Board of Supervisor discretion for any special circumstance. So that would be staff recommendation on moving forward with this. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Yeah.
If I may, I'd like to move forward with staff's recommendation, recognizing the change to maybe instead of will be, subject to termination.
Second.
Okay. Motion second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our last item is item 53, which was brought by me, and that's discussion and possible action to approve the adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution number 2019-094, supporting Arizona Game and Fish Department's continued effort to provide healthy outdoor recreation by creating and maintaining opportunities to fish in Arizona's waters, supporting the department's plan for major maintenance of its hatcheries to meet the current demand for fish and eliminate production shortfalls. I'd like to call down the representatives from Arizona Game and Fish who came so far this morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Supervisors. Thanks for having me. My name is Chris Cantrell. I'm the Aquatic Wildlife Chief for the Arizona Game and Fish Department, and we just appreciate you having us and helping draft the resolution and the consideration of it. In short, we operate 6 state fish hatcheries across Arizona. Of those 6 state fish hatcheries, what we produce is about 1.5 million trout for the Arizona public. We also produce largemouth bass at one of our facilities to help with some of our warm water sport fish opportunities, as well as we provide conservation and recovery of some of Arizona's unique endemic species, which helps provide that mitigation that's needed to provide water and power to Mojave County through working with Bureau of Reclamation and our multi-species conservation program. Essentially what we're looking at doing is, as you might not know, Arizona Game and Fish is a user pay, user benefit agency. Essentially, we get no general fund tax dollars. We sell licenses, we use that revenue in order to put back on the ground for conservation, and that is essentially what we're asking for support for through the governor's budget as well as through JLBC for fiscal year 2021. What we're looking for is to take $3 million, which we have in our reserves. For the last 3 years, our revenue has exceeded our expenditures, so as a fiscally responsible agency, what we're looking to do is spend our own money and have that appropriated to put back into our hatchery program. These 6 facilities, many of them were renovated in 1995. They were planned for 20 years for the lifespan of those renovations, so we have exceeded that. And by fiscal year 2021, we're at a point where the defrayed maintenance on some of these facilities is starting to pile up. This $3 million, additional $3 million will be fed back into a number of those facilities to shore up those productions long-term for the state and for the public.
Are there any questions for Mr. Cantrell? Anything?
No.
I have no questions for Mr. Cantrell, and I'm very much in support of Arizona Game and Fish. Having attained the age of 70, and I have my permanent Pioneer license, I'm here to make a motion to accept and approve the adoption of Board Resolution 2019-094.
Second.
We have a motion second. Before we vote, I just wanted to thank Arizona Game Fish for coming here this morning. It means a lot to us, and our relationship, my relationship with Mr. Cantrell goes back to Willow Beach, and we worked on that, and it's always been successful, and they do a great job. Like he said, not using any taxpayer money, just running on fees. They do a great job, and I'm wholeheartedly support this. So, motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And with that, if there's nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.